You've seen them before. The kind of person who walks into a room and boom, everyone just notices. Not because they're loud, not because they're flashy, but because they have that energy, that pull. Think Anthony Bourdain. Even through a TV screen, the man had magnetism. You couldn't look away. He spoke and people leaned in. It wasn't about money or power or being the smartest guy in the room. It was how he made conversations feel like an experience. Whether he was talking to a Michelin star chef in Tokyo, a bartender in a grungy dive bar, or even the president of the United States, he had the same magic. So what is that? Why do some people just have it? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Life Classroom, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired and unlock their inner magnetism. Rule number 1, stop trying so hard. Let me hit you with a riddle. 2 friends go on dates. Same night, same fancy restaurant. They're seated far apart, but close enough to observe each other. Friend number 1's date walks in, and wow, he's dressed to impress. Sharp suit, overpowering cologne. He sits down and immediately starts talking. Had to fire someone today. Let me tell you about my views on pay structures. Unions, man. Let's talk about those. Oh, I've got this big trip coming up too. It's a rapid-fire monologue. Sharing everything to seem impressive, or maybe relatable. But it's overwhelming, and honestly, kinda exhausting. There's a scattered, try-hard energy in the air. Like he needs this date to like him. And that desperation, it's a red flag. Now, let's look at friend number 2. His date walks in. He stands up, smiles warmly, and asks how her day was. He listens. Like, really listens. And when he speaks, it's thoughtful, never rushed. He doesn't overshare or dominate the moment. He lets silence breathe, creates room for curiosity. There's mystery, not a flood of personal data. So let me ask you, who do you think is getting a second date? This exact dynamic plays out everywhere, at work, at parties, in friend groups. We think being interesting means talking a lot, showing off, or always having wild stories. But the truth? The person who overshares, overexplains, and overtalks doesn't draw people in. They push them away. It feels like desperation. And desperation is the opposite of magnetism. Don't blame nerves either. If you're feeling anxious, here's the move. Pause, breathe, listen. Once you've got that calm presence down, then you can start building that invisible pull. And it starts with 2 moves. Selective presence. Watch truly interesting people. They don't dominate the room with endless stories. They listen with their full attention. They ask smart, sharp questions. They don't just react, they track the conversation. Build intrigue. They don't rush to prove their worth. They leave gaps. Just enough for you to lean in and want more. Share just enough, never too much. The real secret, leave room for curiosity. Give people just enough to lean in, but not so much that there's nothing left to discover. It's the difference between Ryan Gosling and Jimmy Fallon. Gosling speaks with those slow, thoughtful pauses. Every word feels like it matters, like there's something behind it. Fallon? Non-stop energy, big laughs, constant chatter. He's entertaining, sure. But after a while, that need to always be on, it's kind of exhausting. Now Gosling? He doesn't chase attention. He pulls it. Trying too hard makes you less interesting. You don't need more words. You need better presence. Once you stop fighting for attention, you can shift your focus to the one thing that actually holds it. Storytelling. Rule number 2. Have stories, not just opinions. Let's play another quick game. 2 people are talking about their travels. Person number 1 says, I visited Japan once. It was great. Okay, cool. A fact, true, but also forgettable. Person 2 says, one time in Tokyo, I got lost in this tiny alley. It was super late and I thought everything was closed. But then, out of nowhere, I found this little hidden ramen shop. The chef didn't speak a word of English, but he smiled, pointed at something, and convinced me to try it. To this day, I have no idea what I ate, but I swear it was the best meal of my life. Now that person, they just took you with them. You didn't just hear about Tokyo, you felt it. That's the magic of story, and it's missing from how most people talk. Most people speak in plain, lifeless statements. I had a nice meal. That event was fun. I work in finance. Nothing pulls you in. Nothing feels alive. But when you tell a story, you invite people into your experience. Even the most ordinary moment can become unforgettable if you frame it right. So here's your cheat code. A simple 3-step formula to instantly level up your storytelling. Context. Where were you? What was happening? The surprise. What unexpected or emotional thing happened? The takeaway. How did it end? What did you learn or feel? These tiny tweaks, they change everything. If you want to be interesting, don't just talk. Make people feel. Make them experience the story with you. Rule number 3. Make other people feel interesting too. Ever walked away from a conversation thinking, wow, that person was so cool. But then, when someone asks why, you realize they didn't even say much. That's not a mistake. That's a skill. Those people, they're masters at making you feel interesting. And that's what makes them unforgettable. It's not just about asking good questions. It's about how they engage. They smile at the right moments. They react in ways that make your words feel important. They guide the conversation without you even realizing it. And here's the key. They're not passively waiting for their turn to speak. They're actively listening. They're mirroring. They're making you feel like your story matters. That's charisma in action. Make people feel like they're unlocking a hidden part of themselves. This is what truly magnetic people do. They make you feel like you're discovering something new about yourself. And they do it in 5 subtle but powerful ways. Number 1, they mirror your energy. If you're excited, they're right there with you, amplifying that spark. If you're deep in thought, they slow down and meet you in that space. They don't bulldoze a moment, they flow with it. That's what makes conversations feel natural and real. 2, they introduce new perspectives. They don't just nod and smile. They say things like, you know what that reminds me of? I've never thought about it that way before. It keeps the conversation alive, evolving, expanding. They make ideas bounce, not fade out. 3, they challenge just enough. The best conversations aren't just endless yes loops. Interesting people nudge you to think. If you say, I always do things this way, they'll ask, ever tried doing it the opposite way? It's not a challenge to win, it's curiosity. And because it's asked with genuine interest, it makes you pause. It makes you reflect. 4, they make you feel like an expert. People love explaining things, especially when it's about something they care about. Even if they've talked about it 100 times, If someone's genuinely curious, they'll light up. Interesting people give others the mic. They want you to tell your story. They push you deeper. If you say, "I had an amazing trip," they'll ask, "What made it better than all the others?" They dig beneath the surface, gently. They help you uncover something real, something memorable. You don't make people like you by agreeing with everything they say. You make people like you by making them feel alive in your presence. When someone feels like their best, most expressive self around you, they want to come back. Now, the formula is almost complete, but one big piece is still missing. Here it is. If you want to tell good stories, you need to live a life that gives you stories to tell. Rule number 4, live a life worth talking about. You want to be more curious, more magnetic, more relatable? Then give yourself the material. Go out, explore, experience. You don't need to go skydiving. You don't need to backpack across Asia, unless you want to. But you do need to do more than scroll and repeat your daily routine. Follow the rabbit holes that spark your curiosity. Say yes to small adventures. Take detours. Try weird foods. Learn a new skill. Just because. There's always a story waiting to happen. If you go looking for it, take a page from Anthony Bourdain. He didn't sit in a room reading about food cultures. He immersed himself. He ate, explored, wandered, got lost, and listened. He lived the stories he later told. And that's why every conversation he had felt like an open door, a portal into a world you wanted to step into. If you don't do anything new, if your life is just rinse and repeat, what do you really have to say? Interesting people don't wait for conversations to come to them. They create them before they even open their mouths. They collect experiences. They don't just talk about things, they do them. They live boldly, not to impress anyone, but for themselves. They follow curiosity like it's a compass. Talk to a musician. Ask about their work. Ask how they got there. Curiosity starts small. It's not always about chasing the wild or extreme. Sometimes it's just about taking a different route home, just to see what's there. Going to an event simply because it sounds a little unfamiliar. Trying something, not because you're good at it, but because you've never done it before. That's the art of participation. Instead of just consuming the world, you become a part of it. Watching a documentary about Japanese calligraphy? That's cool. But trying to do it yourself? Way cooler. Raise your hand for the game, even if you have no idea how to play. Let go of that fear of being bad at something. You'll survive. In fact, you'll thrive because of it. You don't have to be the most well-traveled, or the most well-read, or the loudest or most naturally charismatic person in the room. But if you engage with the world from a place of genuine curiosity, you'll never run out of stories to tell. And people feel that. They lean in, because curiosity is magnetic. Being interesting isn't about how much you talk. It's about how deeply you live. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, do one new thing every day. Take a different route. Try a food you've never heard of. Start a conversation with a stranger. Try a new hobby, even if you're bad at it. Pay attention. Notice what stands out. You'll start to see your world and your conversations transform. You'll have something real to talk about. You'll start living the stories you tell. Try micro-adventures. Go to a neighborhood you've never been to. Say yes to something spontaneous. Order a meal you wouldn't usually pick. Go to a live concert or a comedy night. Learn one verse of the song and sing it out loud. The goal? Don't just watch life, participate. Bonus rule: have your own way of seeing the world. This is the level up. This is what makes people unforgettable. Think about the most interesting person you know. They're not just repeating trends or quoting headlines. They've got a lens, a philosophy, a unique way of seeing the world. That doesn't mean they're controversial for the sake of it. It just means they've thought about things. They've formed their own ideas. Imagine two people talking about food. One says, "Yeah, sushi's really popular these days." The other says, "You know, I love sushi, but I actually think ramen is more interesting." There's something about how each bowl tells the story of the chef who made it. The first shares a trend. The second shares a perspective. That's what sparks connection, debate, curiosity. So how do you build this? Take time to reflect. Ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Where did that idea come from? Don't just scroll and consume. Pause, challenge things, question your influences, and start building strong tastes, not just in food, but in life. Know what excites you, what moves you, what sticks with you, and why. Because the most interesting people, they're not just full of fun facts. They're full of truths they've lived. They don't just repeat what the world says. They respond to it. And that makes all the difference. Great stories don't just entertain us. They change how we see the world. Being interesting? It has nothing to do with how rich, famous, or successful you are. It's about the way you connect to people, to experiences, to the world around you. That's the real difference between the person everyone forgets and the one they just can't stop thinking about. When you walk into a room and bring it to life, you become unforgettable. And if you're thinking, "Yeah, I want that energy," you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to the Life Classroom, where we don't just talk about life. We learn how to live it fully, curiously, and unapologetically.